Hello everybody and welcome back to Ohio Railroad Productions. In this video I'm going to be visiting the Ohio Railway Museum. Now I recorded a lot of footage, so I'm going to have to split this into two parts. The first one will just be the footage of me riding the train, and the second one will be the footage I took of the other locomotives that are on display. Now while I was riding the train, you might hear this rattling noise. It's almost constantly. I did not notice it that much while I was riding the train. I didn't know it was that loud on video, so I apologize for that, but I still got some pretty good footage, so without further ado, let's go ahead and start the video.
Where all the fun begins, we are finally in motion on the rails. If you look on the left side of the car, you'll see a couple of volunteers who wish they were riding with us. You'll also see our Illinois Terminal streetcar number 450, as well as our orange Ansel streetcar 450, our interurban car number 64. You'll also see our electric steeple cab locomotive number 2, as well as our two motor cars, Poppy and Blaze. On the east side of our car, you'll see a string of some box cars, as well as some other railroad equipment that's currently tarped, along with our last surviving Columbus streetcar, number 703. Our volunteer, Gabby, will be waving. The car right there, which is the former refrigerated cars, our shop car, where we do repairs, also carry our tools inside to do the necessary refurbishment and restoration of our railroad equipment. Alright folks, as we exit our main yard, I'd like to direct your attention to the inside of the train again. You notice what appears to look like railroad junk. Yes, indeed, this is the Silcox Railway equipment. The owner is dedicated to the restoration, operation, and leasing of historic diesel locomotives. You'll see parts ranging from wheel trucks, prime movers, gears, and much, much more. The green bars for locomotives can be restored inside, especially during hot, humid conditions or even during cold conditions. Now, for those of you who have come to ride our train today, how many is it your first train ride? Raise your hand. Well, for those of you who have to ride like today, everybody can come out with us. The Ohio Railway Museum is one of the oldest operating railroad museums in the United States since 1948. The year is 2022. Anybody good at math? Let's play 22 minus 1948. 74 years. Been on the rails in Central Ohio, preserving rail heritage since that time. The line we're riding on is the former Columbus, Delaware, and Marion Interurban Railway, which connected the cities between Columbus and Marion via Delaware. The line went bankrupt in 1933, and by 1948, the Central Ohio Railfans Association, now called the Ohio Railway Museum, began restoration of the line in the late 1950s. Coming up here is our Potter Street Grade Crossing. We're now here at the one of our diesel locomotives. Sound of the train horn is nice and glorious. I love the sound of that. Alright folks, as we enter our steel bridge, it's the only bridge we have on our main line. This bridge crosses over State Bridge 161. Be sure to give a wave to the motorists down below, because many of them are jealous. If any of them don't wave back, they're probably jealous. This also gives us our opportunity to do our public advertising. So please give a wave down to the motorists below. Well, please. Alright folks, I direct your attention to the east side of the car to notice the string of freight cars. Does anybody know what makes these cars so special? Yes, they were generously decorated by our very own Michelangelo, our very urban art, our very own urban artwork people. So it's kind of unique, isn't it? Mark, you like urban artwork?
Oh yeah.
What about you, Belle?
Absolutely.
Yep. remains of a campfire. This is the site of our hobo pen. If you come to the Ohio Railway Museum during Halloween season in October, we will be hosting our ghost trolley. During your ride, you might see a couple hobos, maybe a ghost or two. If anybody doesn't know what the term hobo means, going back to your history books, during the Great Depression, many of these travelers would hop on freight trains looking for work. They'd be in search for their homeward bound, and that's how the term hobo came about. As we head southbound down our railroad right-of-way, you'll see lots of trees, maybe a few creatures or two. Has anybody got a favorite kind of animal? I'm sure many people have been to Columbus Zoo. What about you, young man? What's your favorite animal, man? Oh, well. Mark, what's your favorite animal?
Bobcat.
Bobcat? You like it? What about you, Belle?
A wolf.
Oh, that's cool. Folks, I'd like to direct your attention to the east side of the car once again. You're going to be seeing two strings of railroad lines. The one closest to us is the Norfolk Southern main line, which is represented by their black and white diesel locomotives. The other track adjacent to the Norfolk Southern line is the CSX Transportation line, which is represented by their yellow, blue, and gray diesel locomotives. Now these two railroad lines, as you can see, are about to intersect together. One railroad's going one direction, one railroad's going the opposite direction. The solution to having the two tracks come together is what's called a high-speed crossover, or diamond, where the two railroads will cross each other. There was a control tower back in the day that would control the movement of trains going north and south, and that was controlled by dispatch back in the day. CSX would be going one way southbound, while Norfolk Southern's going northbound. They follow their marker signals such as red for stop, green for meaning to clear, and yellow meaning proceed with caution to the next red signal. Now, if you look on the left side of your car, you'll notice some backyards. This is beautiful Colonial Hills. Now, wouldn't anybody love to have a train in their own backyard? I know I would. Mark, you want a train in your backyard?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
What about you, Bill?
Yeah, it'd be something different.
Yeah. What happens here stays here on the rails. Folks, I'd like to welcome you to our Colonial siding. And now we are entering Colonial Hills. Folks, this is Colonial Hills. Does anybody know why we have come to full complete stop? No more track, that's right, end of the line. There's actually a special term that's kind of like off-roading, but you're taking the train off the rails. Does anybody know what that term is called? Bingo! You nailed it. Yeah, I'm sure none of us want to do any paperwork today. Where we were going forward, now we get to go backwards. You might not have got a lot of AC going southbound, but going backwards you get a lot more air coming into the car. So this is where the fun part also begins. Now this car that we are riding in is a former Canadian National Railway coach, number 5060. It was built in 1937 by the Canadian Foundry Company for use on the Canadian National Railway's Transcontinental Railway system back in the day. The year is 2022. What's 2022 minus 1937? Somebody say 75? 75 actually. This car's just recently was going to be celebrating its 75th birthday. This car served on the rails up until around the late 1970s. In 1977, the Via Rail Transportation System took over most of Canadian National Railway's operations passenger portion. And many of these cars, as you can see, were then auction car last served on the St. Louis and Rio Grande Scenic Railroad. And we acquired it in 2012 as part of a trade with a sleeper car we used to have. The locomotive that was pulling our train and is pushing us back to our station is locomotive number 7178. It is a 65-tonner diesel locomotive. built in April 1943 by the General Electric Corporation. It was built to run in the U.S. Army as a switcher. The locomotive would later serve the Babcock and Wilcox Company up in Barberton, Ohio, on locomotive number 1, and came to our museum in March of 2011. It is the only diesel locomotive that we have ever owned on our property since that time. The Ohio Railway Museum is also home to other types of mode of transportation. I mentioned diesel. What are the other modes of transportation we got? We've got electric, whatever mode of power we have. Yes. Oh, what's that? Steam. Very good. Natural steam engines would include 578, steam locomotive number 1. And there's one more mode of power. Steam and diesel, what else do we have? Somebody say electric? Yep, electric. Yes, indeed, electric. Example for electric equipment includes our streetcar and our interurbans and our electric engine. Now, if you look on the west side of the car, you're going to notice a very scenic overlook. It's a ravine. It's the only piece of scenic view we got on our property. I don't want to be jumping off of there, though. All right, folks, do you know what time it is? Bridge time. Very good, young man. So, folks, as we cross over our bridge, be sure to wave down to the motorists below. If they do not wave back, then they're probably jealous of us. This also gives us our public advertising. So please give a wave down below. Yeah. Boxes.
Or they have a swarm nearby.
No, these got it. Alright, as we exit our bridge, we hear the whistle of our car being 50. Folks, you gotta love the sound of the steam whistle. I know I do. There's very specific codes that railroads follow as part of the Federal Railroad Administration. 2 toots means to go forward. 1 short blast means to come to full and complete stop. 3 short blasts means to go into reverse. And 2 longs followed by 1 short and 1 long is the code for a highway grade crossing. These signals are always used by our brakemen for the backboard train or even our locomotive engineers. Now, how many of you own a train whistle? Like a wooden train whistle? You do? Well, for those who have not bought a train whistle, check out the Ohio Railway Museum gift store at the end of your trip. We also have a list of other memorabilia such as t-shirt, coffee mugs, and even your very own toy train. Likewise, your purchase in the gift shop, your purchase of a train ticket, or even a donation will help keep our museum on track for years to come. For those of you who are interested in volunteering for our museum or want to learn how to work on a railroad, there's no experience needed. Talk to our volunteer coordinator, President Bell, and you can even stop by our depot to fill out a volunteer application form. If you have any other questions in mind, feel free to ask and I'm free to answer anything you may have. What's he saying? Folks, we're almost back to the depot. Our next ride, it'll be at 3:30 p.m. So all of your tickets will be good for any of the rides you cannot ride today. Last one will be at 3:30. Last one will be at 3:30 p.m. Please remain seated until our train has come to a full and complete stop. On the left side of our car, we have our 2 Speeders X3, our Kalamazoo Speeder Blaze, and our orange Algoma Central Speeder Poppy. All right, folks, thank you for riding with us. Please.
All right, well, that definitely was a nice trip to the Ohio Railroad Museum. That's actually probably my third or fourth time going there. Only the second video I've done on it, though. Well, third, because the last time I went there, I also had to split the video into 2 parts. But speaking of 2 parts, the second part of my video will be out soon, maybe later today, I don't know, maybe tomorrow at some point. But that will be the video I took when I was taking footage of all the locomotives and rolling stock on display. So I'd like to thank you for watching, like and subscribe if you wish. Maybe check out my other content because that helps, and I'll see you in the next video.